Hello and welcome to Undercurrent. I'm your host, Angela McDonald. Mandatory detention has many people within Western Australia very concerned at the moment. The High Court has made a ruling that over 200 people will be deported back to Nauru. A rally was held recently in Perth, and Undercurrent reporter Warren finds out more.
Over 500 protesters have gathered at the St. George's Cathedral to stand and support the 267 refugees who are due to be deported back to Nauru. This comes after the High Court ruled that offshore detention is legal.
We have decided, as an Anglican cathedral here in Perth, to join the movement around Australia and to offer sanctuary to asylum seekers who are in imminent danger of being sent back to Nauru. And as a follow-up to that, and to let the government know that there's a very large movement growing, we're having a rally to say, let them stay, as you can hear.
Since these refugees came from Nauru to begin with, what is wrong with sending them back?
Well, firstly, we think that it's wrong, period. Offshore mandatory detention is wrong, inhumane, and causing irreparable damage. What's particularly bad in this case is that all of them have been allowed to leave Nauru for medical reasons, either themselves or family members. 33 of them have been born onshore in that time. So in other words, they're going to be sent back to a place that we know from every agency that's been allowed is called hell on earth. It's a terrible place to go. So the place that caused them trauma, they're being sent back to. So it's taking the inhumanity to another level.
If Nauru is apparently so good, then why is there complete lack of transparency? Why have any independent medical reviews of Nauru not occurred? And from what I've heard, they were willing to speak up, have described it as hell on earth.
Alex Bainbridge of the Socialist Alliance says that anti-refugee sentiments are not new and have always been prevalent throughout history.
Every grouping of refugees or even migrants, not refugees, that have come to Australia have suffered controversy and bigotry and racism on their first arrival. And over a period of time, that has become less, and those people have been welcomed into the Australian community. And you think about the Greek and Italian migrants after World War II, you think about Vietnamese migrants in the 70s and 80s. Those people are very much part of the Australian community today, and exactly the same thing would happen if there was a compassionate and fair approach to the current refugees arriving in Australia today.
What happened to old Australia that used to take in all the Vietnamese refugees, used to take in European refugees, and who cared about the people of the world? We can be that again. Of course, they talk about legality, and they talk about all the laws that they've made, and it's such a stretch that they've made it legal for them to send them back there, and all these policies that they've created of Operation Stop Open Borders. Sure, they might be legal, but they're morally bankrupt, completely and utterly morally bankrupt. And I think if the public can show them that this isn't what we want, then they won't be able to get away with things like this.
The protesters are calling for the Prime Minister to show compassion and allow the refugees to remain onshore.
We need Malcolm Turnbull and the leaders of our country to stand up on this issue and to show true leadership to the Australian community, the Australian people, and the people of the world.
The reality is that everyone that's held in Nauru, everyone that's fleeing their lives and is on boats, are no different. They're human beings. They're exactly like my 4 children and my wife. This is my family. I can't imagine how destroyed I would be to find that they might be drowning, they might be processed in some secret location offshore, they might be held in detention. They're welcome in Australia, and I say that every refugee fleeing for their lives is welcome in Australia.
The problem with Australia's offshore and, in fact, detention regime is that it locks up innocent people. People that have committed no crime get locked up in these detention centres. That policy has got to end.
I think it's the role of the church to speak out against injustice whenever, wherever and however it occurs. We see this as an injustice. Certainly our founder, our leader, Jesus Christ, was killed for being deemed political, for standing up against oppression and injustice in his time, and many of the great leaders, Martin Luther King and many, many others, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who stood in non-violent protest, have upset governments, and sometimes that's necessary.
This is Warren Masalamani for Undercurrent.
Private health insurance, to have or to have not. Over the last 5 years, premiums have been increasing by 6%. Some services are being cut. So are we paying more for less? Juanita hits the streets to find out your opinions.
I am Alexander, founder of CompareTheMeerkat.com, where we compare markets. Oh, meerkats! Meerkats. Oh, cats.
In the last 5 years, health premium prices has increased by 6% annually. Today we asked the people of Perth what they think about this. Have you noticed an increase in your premium prices over the years?
I don't have health insurance, so I don't know what the premiums are.
Nah, not at the moment.
I'm not on health insurance.
I haven't really noticed myself.
Yes, I have.
What do you think is the reason for the increase in price?
I'm not sure. I don't know whether it's because the medical profession, when it comes to insurance and that, now people are claiming more liabilities, whether that's affected it. I do think it's quite unreasonable though, the prices that they're charging, and not sustainable at all.
Quite possibly an improvement in medical technology. There is simply more medical treatments that can be done, and they're expensive.
Probably just to boost the economy.
Did you realize if insurance policies have devalued over the years, where they are cutting down on your benefits but still charging a higher price?
No.
Yeah, I think you get less value for what you're paying for now, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not too sure.
The policy that I've got is quite I think it's good value. So I don't know whether I'm just lucky or I haven't found it for my policy. I haven't felt the need to go and look for another insurance company, so I'm quite happy.
Due to high premium prices, more people are signing for policies that only cover hospitalization. But last time there used to be more people who apply for the all-inclusive premiums. Do you think that this is who is responsible for this?
I mean, it would all come down to price. I think if prices are going up, people are going to try and save as much money as they can, so they'll look at what they don't need or what they think they don't need, and they'll won't use that, and then they save money. But then at the end of the day, if they need it, then they're left without any insurance at all.
Probably someone in politics at the moment. I'm not exactly sure it is. I'm not really good with politics, but I definitely think that they should be putting a lot more into our health than what they have been, because our health is pretty important than the money they use for other things.
I think it partly has to do with the government allowing for those such high increases. I mean, each year the cost of health insurance has gone up in percentage-wise higher than what inflation has. So and people's wages. So how they think people can sustain it is a bit ridiculous. People aren't going to join if they can't afford it.
Do you think that health insurance premiums should be charged according to a person's smoking status, age, gender, or any health risk factors?
Yeah, so maybe health risk factors probably should play a part. I mean, some people are predisposed, which is unfortunate, but they're the ones probably going to have to go into hospital, so it might need to increase. I mean, also you can also say that maybe they should cut some slack because they're going to need to, but I mean, that's all relative. You can argue that for pretty much anything, I think, yeah.
I guess everyone should be treated equally, but at the same time, if they're putting their own body in danger, it's pretty unfair.
I think if it's a genetic disease or if it's a disease that's sort of come along later in life due to not living a healthy life, I mean, everyone knows now that you shouldn't smoke, you shouldn't drink excessively. So the education is out there. Then I think, yes, their policy should be more.
It seems that people feel the government should step in to reduce the price of insurance premiums in Australia. I'm Renita Azman, reporting for Undercurrent.
Stay with us on WTV. We'll be back after a short break for more Undercurrent. Australia Day celebrations are attracting more crowds every year, but some taxpayers are saying, is this money well spent? Is it money just going up in smoke? The City of Fremantle has about 500 homeless people, and some of the residents are asking, would this money be better spent on supporting the homeless? I had a talk with the Mayor of Fremantle and asked him this question, is the money going up in smoke?
On the 26th of January this year, the City of Fremantle held the Indian Ocean fireworks display. Thousands flocked to the city to watch these fireworks for a good 20 minutes. There were vantage points all around the city. But some residents are asking, is this the best way to spend taxpayers' money? Was it money that just went up in smoke as the issue of homelessness grows within the city? Good morning, Mayor. Thank you for joining us today for Undercurrent for WTV.
Very nice to be with you. Thank you.
So Australia Day celebrations, they're very important for people. And how important were the Indian Ocean fireworks this year?
Actually, it was another big year. I think it started off as a cracker show a few years ago, and it'd be fair to say it's got bigger and bigger each year, where we estimate around about 50,000 people from not just Fremantle, but obviously the greater area.
So you've mentioned that it's not cheap. About how much does it cost to put the fireworks on?
So we put about $144,000 ourselves, and the City of Coburn contribute $25,000. So that's for the whole day. No, it's not just for the fireworks, that's for the concerts and all the traffic management and the citizenship ceremonies, all those things together.
And do you think those sponsors that participated in the Indian Ocean Fireworks Day would be happy to share some of that money toward homelessness programs?
That's a good question. We haven't asked that to them, and I guess we haven't made that approach yet. But I actually do think that certainly I think there is that people in Fremantle would be happy to do that. And I think on a day when we're kind of celebrating what it is that makes us Australian and reflecting on our culture, and in many ways the egalitarianism, that kind of fair go for all approach that we talk about in Australia, maybe that then is actually a really great way of leveraging off that to provide more funds towards the key services that can support homeless people.
So what sort of programs do you have going on around Fremantle during the year?
More recently, we've also just started a small change collection program where we're working with basically collection points where the city's matching dollar for dollar money that the community will donate towards homelessness programs. St Patrick's, who run some really great programs out of their community support centre in Fremantle, will be the main beneficiary of those funds. And we hope through that to be able to expand some really good programs that are already operating. And one of those is the Street to Home program, where it's one-on-one working with people who are on the streets and working with them to actually really get them back into a house and off sleeping rough, which is a major issue.
Would you prefer to have a roof over your head, or you're okay sleeping out?
No, I'd prefer to have a roof, but yeah, and as my sign says, trying to get a place.
So you got to qualify with St Patrick's before they put a roof over your head?
Yeah.
And what qualifies a person to be chosen by St Patrick's?
I don't know, to be honest. They're just very picky. So, yeah, that's the hard part. I don't want to leave Fremantle, but yeah.
And are there lots of homeless people in Fremantle?
Yeah, at least 500 I can think of, like, approximately, yeah. There's probably about 500 in Fremantle. Yeah, like, doing this I meet people, I talk to people. As I said, there's no criminal element. Basically, Brad Pettit's banned it because it's antisocial, but do I look antisocial? I read a book. No one has to give me anything. Like, yeah.
And you said it's monotonous. Is the boredom something that really gets to you after a while?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Probably shouldn't say this, but I've been suicidal quite a lot over the years, and been in and out of mental hospitals because the government just won't help. And yeah.
So it's more you feel like you're not achieving what you could in life?
Yeah. I feel I haven't been given a chance in life, yeah.
So people saying that that's money that has gone up in smoke, that could be a fair analogy.
Yeah, look, and I think that's a fair criticism. I would say though, the reality is a city like Fremantle, our budget for the year is almost $100 million. So whilst we do spend over $100,000 on the fireworks, even if we were to keep doing that, there's no reason why we can't find other ways we could fund better services and work with St Patrick's and others in other ways. So we can do both, but we are nevertheless having that discussion as to whether the fireworks are something that we will continue with into the future.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Between October and February, Bankwest holds the Bankwest Art Prize, and it's a very prestigious event for Western Australia. 104 people entered this year, it went down to 19 finalists, and then it went down to one winner. Fremantle artist Rebecca Dagnall won the People's Choice Award with her piece The Road Trip, as Lauder finds out.
As a professional photographer, what has it meant for you winning this People's Choice Award?
Oh, look, it's a great honour winning a People's Choice Award, because I think it's one of those, it's one of those moments where the audience also gets to kind of talk about the work that they liked, that they like, and I think that's a great honour.
How did you pick the photography we are seeing at the moment?
To be quite honest, I had a variety of images that I thought would be suitable for this particular prize. This particular photo was part of a whole series of work that I did around the idea of the road trip. So this photograph was taken out on the Nullarbor from a road trip from Melbourne to Perth. And as we were driving, my partner and I, who's also my lighting technician, I saw the caravan, and it was pretty much like, right, stop the car, and I'm going to run because the light was fading fast. I'm going to run with the camera, follow me with the flashes, and then I got out and just ran towards the scene, set up the tripods and took the photograph.
Why do you think that people got so taken aback by this photograph?
I don't know, maybe people saw what I saw when I saw the caravan out on the Nullarbor. I think it was that really short space in time where the light is just perfect and quite seductive too, and the textures and of the mattress, and I think it was also this idea for me anyway that the caravan kind of had become part of the landscape, and I found that really interesting too. Like, often these sorts of images can look quite separate. For me, it also got me interested in sort of who these people were. Who were the people that were in the caravan, and where have they gone, and why did they leave? And it's in the middle of the Nullarbor, and there's not many places to go. So it sort of conjured up a whole story as well about the characters that may have lived in the caravan. And yeah, that got me curious and just thinking. And I think that's what the audience may have seen too.
In this digital era where everybody can call themselves photographers, what do you think that it makes a difference between you and anybody else who can be taking photos right now on the streets?
I guess it's about people's intention of what they actually want to do. Like, a lot of people are pretty much taking photographs to sort of document their own lives, document their families. Other people are taking photographs to share with community and friends on social media, for instance. But yeah, I guess for me, my intention's about communicating ideas and sharing with an audience what it is that I want to communicate. So, and entering into some kind of discussion as well with the audience.
And what are you working on now?
I'm working on a whole new series of work, I guess, that's sort of still looking at the darker sides of the Australian landscape, and looking at sort of bodies of water and I guess the ghosts in the landscape possibly.
What do you find most challenging of your work as an art photographer?
I guess the most challenging thing as an art photographer would be just, I guess, the worry or the want to create something as or equally as good or better than the work that you made before, and that can be super challenging and also quite scary, actually.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Lauder Noble reporting for Undercurrent.
Western Australia is the land of opportunity, and when you take that opportunity and mix it with talent and hard work, anything's possible. John Palermo is a young entrepreneur, chartered accountant, rich list for 2014 and 15, and now a philanthropist. I had the pleasure of meeting John and finding out how this inspiring young man has succeeded so well with his future.
Young, savvy, innovative, and a very successful businessman. Tonight on Undercurrent, we're speaking with John Palermo.
Look, there have been a few accolades along the way. I'm very proud of that, and it's great to be recognised. I guess some of the WA awards, the 40 under 40, and some of the awards that I've got that are industry based are very much a recognition of the effort that you've put in over the years. So it's great to receive them.
So, born and bred in Western Australia?
Always been in WA. Born here, educated here and worked here. So
And how do you view Western Australia?
I love Western Australia. I think we're a very promising state. I think we've come a long way and we've got a long way to go, but Perth is a great place because it's large enough to make a difference and small enough to be compact enough to know everyone, I think, and really connect your people that you know.
Money makes the world go round. That's something that you've really grown to understand the techniques of.
Look, no romance without finance. I think money is important because it pays for the philanthropy and for the causes that you want to support. So essentially, everybody has an idea on philanthropy and where does the money go. You can only make so much money before you have to start doing good by other people. If you're lucky enough to be in a position where you have means, then I think you've got an obligation to help others. Look, there's the dictionary definition. My definition of philanthropy is something that is consciously meaningful to you. So whether that's time to an organisation, money or other, something that means a lot to you and you're giving that away. Certainly there are plenty of volunteers out there and there are plenty of financial supporters out there, but that's what philanthropy is to me.
How do you see the youth of today?
The youth of today, they're great. I think they have their issues, but they had their issues 50 years ago. I think the youth of today are well informed, very well connected. If you capitalise on that, the world will be a better place. You think back 30 years ago when we were kids, we didn't have the social media connection, we barely watched the news, we went to school, we came home, we played in the park and that was it. Certainly now the opportunities available for the youth are much greater, but in the scheme of things they're available to everybody. So if you're smart, and the question was raised earlier about should philanthropy be part of some education program at schools, and I think it absolutely has to be. But we're going to get some organic growth in that area anyway, because if you talk to kids now at secondary and even universities and even primary schools, they are aware of it. They know what the score is, they know what they have to do, and they're encouraging their parents, not the other way around.
And how did you first start getting involved in investment?
In investment? That's an interesting question. I'd bought passive assets because you work for your money and I wasn't keen to lose it. So, and look, property is a great saving strategy at the end of the day. If you get some capital growth, brilliant. So it was my focus was always property. So I started in residential property and then evolved from there.
And Western Australia, how far, where are we going to go?
Interesting question. I don't know. Certainly, my view is that, boom and bust is inevitable. That happens, and certainly everyone now is saying, oh, we're in a bust cycle and, the mining boom has ended and that sort of thing. It's just a new state of normality. So as long as we get used to that and we keep our head on our shoulders, I think WA's got great prospects. We're the largest state. I think agriculture has a long way to go. So look, there's prosperity. We're a great country. So it's only upwards from here.
I'm Angela McDonald for Undercurrent.
You've been watching Undercurrent for WTV. Thanks for your company. We'll see you next week.